Carolyn Dube here, and today I am bound and determined to use up some of my stash. I have got some cardstock here that I've had forever, so I'm going to use some of it up. Some of it, like the screen that I didn't like, I didn't mind ripping up. I've got my stencil here called Uplifting Words, and I am using some of the Lindy Stamp Gang's Fabio sprays here, and I'm just giving it a nice loose spray on that. It's still there, it's still juicy, and I'm going to put a piece of paper right on top of it to absorb it up. Hey, this old scrapbook paper is kind of absorbent. Woohoo! So I've got what looks like, expected normal stenciling, but never fear, we're going to add a whole lot more layers to this before we're done. So of the two papers, as I was making those, the one I expected myself to use was the one that I was actually, the original one where you could read the words and everything was facing the correct way. And what do you know, I'm drawn to the one that was my cleanup paper. That's usually what happens to me, where I least expect it, I end up getting drawn. Well, that's the paper I'm going to use, and the stencil I'm using here is the Doodle It Dahlia by Maria McGuire. I'm using a white heavy-bodied acrylic paint with a cosmetic sponge here, and the reason I'm using the cosmetic sponge is I'm more precise with that. I have cleaner, crisper lines than when I do my super sloppy stenciling with a brush. And for this one, I actually wanted to maintain the really crisp lines of the stencil, so that's why I'm using the cosmetic sponge, those of you that are used to seeing me use the good old paintbrush slopping around. The other thing is that I'm just holding it in place with my hand. If it should move, I'm just going to put it back in position, and I just keep moving my hand around, and that holds it well enough in place for me. The other thing is I'm using a heavy-bodied white paint for two reasons. One, it's less likely to run underneath because the paint's thicker, and two, heavy-bodied white, for me, covers better than a thinner white, and I just want to do this in one coat if possible. Well, here's what it looks like on the paper. Lots of great details in the stencil, and because it has a great interesting outline that isn't too hard for me, or well, I should say I have the patience to cut it out, I am going to carefully cut out the outside of this. This is about as fussy cutting as I get. This is as much as my patience can do for me. And I'm not going to make you watch me cut the whole thing. I'm going to go right to the end. Here it is finished. Well, since this is all about using up stuff I've been hoarding, that glue pen that I've got there, the label even fell off of it. The label wasn't sticky anymore. I think I've had it a little too long. I found a couple that were dried out, so I got to clear those out of my stash. And what I'm doing is taking some fake rhinestones, gemstones, whatever we call these things, from some tape that I'd bought on sale I was so excited about, and then have literally, I don't think I've ever used it before. And the funniest thing to me is when I had the idea to do this, all I could think was, am I going to end up using too many of them? Will I have enough? I don't want to run out. Oh my goodness, I've had this stuff so long and not used it. The goal is for me to run out. So thrilled that I got these out of here. They came on, they've got that sticky stuff on them, and when I'm peeling these off, I'm not getting any of the sticky stuff, hence the glue. And this is kind of like watching, I don't know, me cut something out. Same process, I'm going to keep sticking the stuff all around it, so I'm going to cut right to the end where everything's glued on. And here's what it looks like finished. I've got all sorts of layers of sparkle on there. Now I need to get my art journal ready for it. So what I'm going to do is just put some color down with some of these Lindy Stamp Gang spray inks. These are the Fabio line. And those splutters and splurts, that's from just not pushing down very hard at all. And I really want to hang on to those splatters, so I am going to use a hairdryer, this is a heat gun, goodness gracious, it would really hurt if I ever used this as a hairdryer. Anyway, I'm going to use this to dry it, and you know, as I see it there with those colors, I think I want more. More colors, more splatters, more splots. And the nice thing about spray inks is that everything kind of blends and bleeds around. For some reason the camera was off when I shot some green on this too, but I got up in the corners for some green. Well, now that the spray ink's about dry, now it's time to put the page together. So I chopped this in half, so all of a sudden instead of having one thing, I've magically got two. So I've got those positioned, and that lace that I'm using, that was some cheap white lace that I buy at Walmart in the wedding type section of their craft area that I absolutely love to hit with spray ink. And it's another one of those items that I seem to hoard, that I love it so much that I am scared to use it. Well, you know what? Life is short and it's time to just start using this stuff. So as I hear those crazy thoughts in my head about, no, save it in case you run out, you know, maybe it'll be a good thing if I run out, because then I can go buy something else. So that is just good old tacky glue that I'm using to stick everything down, and you can tell I'm not doing it terribly carefully. And yep, just going under there and trimming some of that stuff off. I'm going to trim the edges off, and it's almost ready, but it needs something more, and that's some words. Always got to have some words. Now, I'm not a huge fan of my handwriting, but you know what? Sometimes I just can't take myself too seriously. Man, am I tongue-tied today. And so I may not love my handwriting, but I'm going to use it anyway. Now, as long as I have that glitter glue in my hand, it's kind of a dangerous thing. Once I start with that sparkle and that glitter, it's really hard to get me to stop. And the center of the Doodle It Dahlia really needed some glitter. It really did. And that lace, it definitely needed some glitter. Those little holes that were in the lace were just meant to be filled in with a little sparkle. I can justify just about anything with glitter. I'm actually pretty impressed I didn't slather it over the entire page. Well, here's what the finished page looks like. And as much fun as I had making and playing with stencils and spray inks and glitter and all that stuff, it was really fun listening to the weird stuff I would say in my head, like, oh no, what if I ran out? Oh no, what if I didn't have enough? And, wow, it's just a little crazy inside that head some days. So once again, my muse and my art journal have reminded me of something important. Use my stuff. There's no better day than today. Well, thanks for joining me for my art journal play today. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more of my videos, I would love it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you've got friends that you think would enjoy watching this, I'd love it if you shared it with them. And if you have any questions about the products used or any of the specifics about this video, you can find a lot of the details over on my blog at acolorfuljourney.com. Thanks so much for being a part of this colorful journey.